There we go. It's working. Yeah, so like one of the goals of this is I want to be able to kind of show how we can grassroots this, but I'll start this audio off like normal. I've got a pre-roll that I just hit. I got a pre-roll that I made.
A pre-roll?
Just
man, we ain't smoking that. No, I'm just playing.
Just like audio pre-roll. I made this with the GarageBand loops.
That's what's up. So you made it yourself?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I made a few songs like this, and that's just been my standard.
Stuff I Heard podcast. This is your host, Joshua Peak.
Oh, okay. So you got like a little tag.
Yeah.
That just reminded me.
As this fades out, then I start talking.
Let me see how many people in here so I can give them their greeting. Okay, yeah, it's going.
And just start, people will join in.
Yeah, they joining in now. Matter of fact, let me start mine off with my little tag. Hello, everybody out there in the world. I am the homie No Cash. Yep, the one and only. If there's another, he is the phony, because you already know me, but you might not know this guy right here, man. Tell him who you are, man.
Hey, I'm Josh Peak. I'm the host of the Stuff I Heard podcast. And just having No Cash on here to do a podcast and kind of introduce my audience to him and vice versa.
Cross promotion at its finest, baby. And this guy's wanting to help me out with a lot of things that I'm not privy of. Y'all know I really don't know how to edit. Y'all know all of pretty much the problems that I face, you know, trying to do this thing. And I ran into this guy, man, and he's willing to give me some advice and some of his expertise. And I just want y'all to sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast, because I don't know what it is. We didn't rehearse anything. I don't know what's his interest or what he want to, you know, talk about, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be rather interesting. All right. So y'all just sit back, relax, and pay attention to what's going on.
All right, here we go. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Stuff I Heard podcast. I have a special guest today. This is No Cash, Byon. What do you prefer to go by?
Man, I go by whatever you want to call me. Just don't call me late for dinner. Yeah, but my mother named me Byon Artrell McCullough. My friends, most of my close friends call me Cyber Cash. And then after I fell on hard times and became homeless over about 7 years ago, I changed my name to No Cash. So you can call me whatever you like, man.
Okay, cool. You and I met because of Danny up at the King Hefe.
Absolutely. Shouts out to old Dan the man.
He's like, I guess we were sitting down eating dinner or lunch, and he was like, you know, I've been wanting you guys to meet.
Yeah, he's like, you got to meet this guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I wonder why. And then he told me you had a YouTube channel and that you was working on a podcast and things of that nature. And a lot of those things, if I had those going on early on in my success of the viral stuff, you know, me having over 60 million views, I had about like at least 30 million of those views, 30 or 40, almost 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow.
So if I was on top of what you up on now, then, man, I could have some great traction going on. But
well, you went viral for a reason, and like I went back and watched your YouTube videos and did some deep diving, and I saw like your first video was you homeless.
That's right, singing for a Big Mac. The very first one was homeless man sings inside of McDonald's for a Big Mac.
Yeah. And I mean, right away, like people clicked on it like, oh, what's going on here? And a lot of people were amazed by your singing voice and also by the story. Like there was a story that built from it. People were like intrigued and wanted to know more.
Absolutely.
And who filmed you?
Well, the guy, Spike Fee, he was this videographer, local videographer. Shouts out to Spike Fee. Around in the PD area, he was shooting a lot of the videos for the artists, shooting commercials for the local businesses and stuff like that, and for the clubs, he was doing a lot of their commercials. He was just a go-to man, and I didn't know anything about social media, viral, none of this stuff when I left the streets. The only social media was MySpace.
Right.
So when I came home, you know, being that he was around all of the artists, paying him to shoot videos for them, he approached me, you know, one day after seeing me singing for food inside of Wendy's. The lady gave me a bag full of food, and he came out behind me and was like, man, if I could get my cameras on you, man, he said, man, I promise you, he said, with your gift and my talent, man, we could do great. He said, you can go viral. I'm like, what is viral? So he explained to me what is viral and all this stuff, and I was like, look, brother, I ain't got no money to pay you for your services. He was like, I ain't never asked you for no money, man.
Right.
He said, there's a lot of dudes out here that's paying me to shoot stuff for them that will never go anywhere. But with your talents and your gift, man, he said, I know you'll go viral. And I was like, he didn't expect it to do what it did, but he believed in me. And all it took for me was to just cooperate and do what I love to do.
Right.
And, get out of his way. And I did that. And now today I'm sitting here with you with over 60 million views and over 200,000 subscribers.
That's cool. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's, the amazing part about it to me is hearing your story of redemption, of how, you were talking about how you had a music career when you were young.
Absolutely.
You kind of had run on the wrong side of the tracks, trying to make a hustle and
listen,
and
selling
got
drugs,
caught.
man. Let's just call it what it is, because I don't, my life is very transparent. I'm a firm believer in, our negatives in life makes us who we are.
Right.
Our failures, our mishaps, our shortcomings, and I come to find out, being a person that has a lot of mishaps and mistakes and failures in my life, people who make a lot of mistakes, they be shameful and embarrassed a lot of times to talk about it or to deal with it. Yeah. And I find that when you truly deal with things like that, that's when you open and honest about it and you dialogue with other people who went through the same similar things, and then you get advice to help strengthen you. Yeah. So man, I don't exploit nothing that I did. I'm not proud of any negative thing that I've done, but I'm a firm believer in you. If you work well with your negatives in the dark places that you were, you can make for greater pictures.
Right. But I mean, back to the story. I mean, you got caught for selling drugs.
Absolutely.
Went to jail.
Absolutely.
Got out, and your grandmother's house
well,
down?
No, before I went to prison.
Okay.
I mean, I was in prison, right? And while I was in prison, my grandmother and my grandfather died.
Oh.
They raised me my whole life. So when I came home, I basically came home to no address. Had no place to live. When I got home, shortly after, my grandmama's house that they left had burned down.
Wow.
So, long story short, ever since me making the wrong decisions to go to prison, I didn't just lose my freedom. I lost my grandmother, my grandfather, my freedom, and I lost my deal with Sony Records. I was about to be getting signed with Sony Records the week before I got locked up.
Jeez. Wow. That's incredible. I mean,
a lot of my fans don't even know that, because I don't get on here and exploit. They don't know my past. They don't know how much, I don't exploit about me selling drugs or living the street life, or even some of the Saga Cash rapping lyrics and stuff that I used to do. I never really mixed the two on this platform, but this is a different thing right here.
Right. This is the Stuff I Heard podcast. So we're talking about things that we've heard.
Absolutely.
And we're sort of exploring those things together. I started off talking to Danny the other day just about whatever, and he went into a long discussion about how he was a drug addict and he struggled for a long time with drug addiction. And he said, I'm not going to tell anybody else's story, but it's within my rights to tell my story.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing I think people bond to, is the story about your life, because, we've all made mishaps in our lives. We've all made horrible mistakes that some of us can't ever walk back from. And we all want to applaud the person who's trying to make an effort, and we try to help each other. And anytime you see something like that, you want to get behind somebody and be like, I totally support what you're doing. I want to give any support I can. Is there any way I can help you? And so along the way, I mean, I guess Danny and I talking and you and him talking, he realized Josh is the same way. This is the same kind of situation. We were talking earlier about the fact that I came from nothing. My wife and I both grew up single moms. We struggled to get by. There was a time in my life where I had 2 kids, and I used to buy groceries on a credit card because I didn't have the ability to buy groceries otherwise. I wasn't making enough money to pay for daycare and housing and everything else.
I'm living off my credit card right now, brother.
I was blessed to have a mom as a safety net, but I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want to go back to that. And I mean, in a way, I was lucky for that. But we came, my wife and I got together with nothing, and then we built a life together. We raised these 3 kids together, and it wasn't a happy story. When you raise kids, they do their own little stupid things.
Come on.
And talking about selling drugs, one of our kids sold drugs, got addicted to drugs, almost died twice. And, us in the emergency room, watching him on a ventilator, thinking, this is it. The first time we were sad. The second time we were angry.
And see, there's a lot of people like to hear you say that and how you just blabbing it out. I know why you're doing it.
I'm trying to relate to everybody in that it's not uncommon for anybody, regardless of your skin tone or where you come from or anything like that. Everybody can be affected by life.
Absolutely.
Life is at our doorstep no matter what.
Absolutely.
Things can happen to us at a moment's notice, and then the whole script is flipped and everything has changed.
Absolutely. And a lot of people say, when you talk like how you talk about your family, telling some of your dark secrets, and with me saying I'm homeless and, all the adversity that I've faced, people would say, that's your business. You shouldn't be putting your personal business out there. No, but I believe that if you're strong enough to deal with adversities in life and go through things and get through them, you should be the person that talk about things and let your mess become a message.
We talk about that, you were saying how in your message, a lot of times you praise God and you talk about how God blessed you.
Oh, man.
And, if you read in the Bible, every time something bad happened to somebody, God didn't pick out Jesus walked around, he didn't pick out the best people to be in his group. He picked out the people who were awful.
That Bible is full of the worst people that if you really know the people in the Bible. King David was a man after God's own heart, so the book says. And King David was a murderer, a robber. He was all kinds of things. But the reason he was a man after God's own heart, because when he did that wrong, he didn't continue to do wrong. He
changed.
That's right. He turned to seek God's face.
And we all have the ability to change. I mean, no matter what our walk is, we're all faced with adversity. We all make choices, good or bad, and we have to live with the consequences. But
that's right.
We can choose along the way to keep on that path or to change.
Absolutely.
And
and see, with me, coming back out into society after being released from prison, you was talking about that. It's very easy to do the wrong thing. It's easy to do what you did to go to jail again. And if you look at the recidivism rate of people who return back to prison, it's very high. It's a struggle having felonies on your record, being someone that you did some things that your past reflects such a negative thing about yourself. Society don't want to give you a second chance. So it's hard to really try to do it right. And then it's easy to go and do the wrong thing again. So you see why people go back to prison a lot. But me, I made up in my mind, man, I said, prison is that place is for the birds. I tell people that all the time. I say it's for the bird because a cage is for a bird. I'm not a bird. I can't do much of nothing being confined to a little small area like that. And I made up in my mind that just wasn't a place that I wasn't going to go back to. Now, in order for that to happen, I had to walk a fine line. I had to do what I need to do to keep myself, out of harm's way. And it was that's why I became homeless. If I would have started selling drugs again, easily I could have been right back into another situation, balling again or doing something, looking at the police coming at me again. But I'm like, nah, I'm not going to even let selling drugs be an option for me because it took me away from my family, my kids. It took me away from my deal. It took me away from being with my grandmother and my grandfather their last years. I don't want it to take anything else from me. Yeah. And so I asked myself 2 questions, man, that helped me do it. It's not easy, but for those of you who are out there, wondering how did he do it? How can he, resist to not sell drugs again when it's so easy? I asked myself 2 questions when I was in prison. And the first one was if I could get out and make $1 million, and I got caught by the police. If I was standing in front of the judge and the judge told me, if you go out there and get every dime that you made and bring it in today and put it on this table, I will let you free. Myself said, would you give him every dime that you have for your freedom? And quickly I said, yes. I would dig up every penny I had and I would put it on the table to be able to walk free with not a dime and be broke, right? And I was like, okay, cool. Next question. If you sold drugs again and you was able to make $10 million and you were able to take care of your kids from behind the wall with $10 million and making sure that they're straight, but you're away from them, would you rather do that or would you rather spend your time with your kids without any money at all? And myself said, I would rather spend my time with my kids without any money at all. And so then I said to myself, then why put your freedom on the line for money in the first place?
Right.
If $10 million is not enough, and you would give it all back, or you would turn down $10 million just to keep from going to jail, then why even take the chances and make the sacrifices of selling drugs again? And so that's why it was easy for me. It wasn't, it wasn't easy. It was simple, to come up with what I was going to do, but how I was going to do it wasn't so easy, and that's where the homelessness came in at.
Right. Man, that's incredible. And, what was, besides the YouTube stuff, like your personal life, how did your life turn around in your personal life? Is there something that happened that made everything start to move in a direction you wanted to go, or was it just a process of everything?
Well, to be honest with you, nothing happened until YouTube. As a matter of fact, a lot of bad was happening to me. People was taking advantage of me. You can sing. I wasn't a dummy, and I ain't hopeless, and I'm not helpless. I'm very talented. So there was a lot of people who, they see that and they try to take advantage of you. They use you. And it's all right to be used. I tell people all the time, if you can't be used, then you're useless.
Right.
So use me, but just don't misuse me, right? Mm-hmm. And so I've run into a lot of people before the no cash viral situation where they would try to take advantage of my talents. different gifts and stuff that I have. I will allow myself to be used just to play fool to catch a fool, and many people played me for a fool. And so I believe it was God that put me in a place that, I would cling to people because I felt like I needed their assistance. So I needed something that they had, some money from them. I needed something that they possessed. And so I would attach myself to these people for vain reasons. And so in the end, when they did me wrong or misused me, I cannot blame them. I blame myself and I take accountability. But God set me in this quiet space, man, by myself with nothing, barely food, no place of my own to sleep. And that's when the blessing came. That's when YouTube blew up. That's when I went viral. YouTube, New York Times did 2 articles on me, one in August of February the 14th, and one in August 2014, and one in February 2015. And they didn't even know who I was. And so it was just all off of this viral stuff. I done been on World Star Hip Hop, Steve Harvey, Michael Baisden, to name all of them. They was talking about the homeless man, which was me, and not even knowing who I was, where my social media was, because at the time I didn't even have social media. And so this blessing just came out of the blue. And for yourself, man, being someone who's working on YouTube, it's hard to get subscribers and to get that traction going. I didn't even know where it came from, and it came out of the blue. And Spike Fee had the channel. Most of my videos was going up on his channel the first time. And so we put about 5 up on his channel, and then he kept his end of the bargain and said that if the videos went viral, he would start with my own channel, give it to me, and put the remainder of my videos up. He had about 8,000 subscribers. My viral videos took him from 8,000 to about 50. Then when he started my channel went from 0 subscribers all the way until about 100,000 in no time.
Wow.
And even him, for someone who felt like he knew about YouTube and he knew a lot about what was going on, he didn't even understand what was happening. And like I said, man, it was by the grace of God. We couldn't have planned that. I wasn't prepared for what happened, because if I was, I would have had my other social media and stuff developed. I would have been marketing more of my own personal content and songs and stuff like that, because my biggest video is me singing John Legend's All of Me. And it has over, I want to say 27 million views on it, but I don't get a dime from it because it's John Legend's song.
Wow.
And so all of this stuff,
Is it because, like, I notice a lot of times copyrighted stuff is weird about...
That's it. That's
certain artists are like, no, you can't even sing my crap. Some of them, though, like if you just have music on in the background...
They'll share it with you.
Some of them are okay with sharing, but some of them have strict rules about it. If I
can hear it, don't use it.
Like I was at the Pecan Festival downtown recording a car show, and
background music you picked
Tom
up.
Petty was on a thing like 3 blocks away, and they sent me a note and said cease and desist. I was like, what?
Yes.
I was like, are you kidding me?
Yes.
And so I took that same video, took all the songs off of it, and just had a silent video wrote in there. Tom Petty can eat a,
I know that's right.
I know it wasn't him, but it's the whoever
it's the
owns
people
the music.
that own the music. That's
Yeah.
right. And then it's a copyright thing. But see, all of those mistakes, and I'm glad that we got around to this. Those were mistakes that I had to make because me neither Spike didn't understand what was going on. We was learning as we went along. So, even just early on, we was talking about how you take your mistakes and you learn from them and your failures. Now we've learned a lot, through failing our way to this success where we're at. And so who better to talk about these problems and give people solutions for things to watch out for when you're building your YouTube channel, because this is a realistic topic. Some people use it as an advantage as well. Like say, for instance, if my videos is going viral and I'm doing 100,000, views every couple of days, and I got my own music, I would play my own music softly in the background.
Yeah.
And I get the benefit from it. It'll send you a copyright.
There's even weird things about that. Like I was telling you about how I made some music on GarageBand just using the loops. I made some music to have as background stuff for whenever videos needed to be not with music in the background, like going around the car show. And I got something on YouTube recently saying monetization is claimed by somebody else, and I'm like, I made that music. How can they claim it? There's no way to dispute it. Like I sent a letter back to them, but they were like, sorry. And I was like, are you kidding me? I made this music, and
Did you use patterns that were already ready-made? You didn't play it out yourself, did you? Or
I didn't play an instrument. It was on GarageBand. There's a thing called loops where it has
you use
little sound loops.
Some of those loops be copyrighted,
and I just blended them together and like.
But if you use
tone,
say you blended 4 sounds together, 4 loops, but one of those loops was copywritten.
Yeah.
When you put it up, YouTube, the people who got it copywritten, YouTube is gonna detect instantly stuff that is copywritten.
Yeah.
That's why they got these new algorithms and things like that, and these bots.
It's crazy because
checking up on
it's
stuff.
it's like free content that's available on the program, but it's like nope, it belongs to somebody else. I'm like,
So the best thing to do is get some musicians and people that you know to play something of your own for
Yeah.
you. And then if you use any music, make sure it's copyright friendly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they got some on YouTube that they let you know where you can use those or they won't copyright infringe you. Or if you could make your own music, you know, like me.
well, the intro to this is part of that thing that I'd made, but nobody touches the intro because it's only 10 seconds long.
Okay.
So nobody cares about it. I think there's some weird algorithm where it has to be like longer than 15 seconds for them to pick up on.
That's what I think they used to say, but I think now that with the algorithms being changed so much, man, they very sensitive to a lot of stuff now.
Yeah.
You just gotta fly right and do your passionate content that you are true to, because anything else is unsafe.
I wonder how some of these big YouTubers do it. Like, I watch Casey Neistat a good bit. He's from New York, and a lot of times he'll have popular music playing while he's doing his video.
Because they work in deals with people. Like, say for instance, if he worked a deal with me, I'm an artist, I say, hey, put my music in the background, I'll pay you. Depending on how many views he's getting, it could be anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000, right? And it could be more depending on the level of his channel. So I pay him $5,000 to play my music in the background of the video. He won't get paid. He will get copyright infringed. He won't get no money from it, but he just helped me.
Mm.
So that's why I would pay him.
I know he always credits like the whoever the artist is in this thing.
That's it.
But I figured there's some kind of collaboration there where they shake hands and be like, yeah, you can use your music.
They get paid. Not no collaboration. Yeah. He getting paid, brother. You can best
maybe
believe.
A percentage.
That's no upfront money. It's like if you put my. It's like an answer right there. When you get so many views on your podcast, artists will do that with you too. They'll say, hey man, I'll pay you such and such money if you play my song in your intermission.
Okay.
Like say for instance, if you got enough people listening to your podcast, so you got 50,000 people.
Like an unknown artist is a way for them to get heard.
There you go.
Okay.
That's the science. If you think about somebody who got a few 100,000 subscribers or 1 million subscribers, and you get them to play your stuff on their videos where they get millions of views, that's going to help you.
I think he's up to 12 million subscribers now.
See there? That's
something crazy.
There you go.
But so, yeah, I guess at a certain point people seek you out.
So they're getting more than possibly $4,000 or $5,000 from them to play that because it's worth it to him.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah, because the eyeballs on it or ears
that's
on
right.
it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, cool. There was a lot of questions I had, and you kind of answered them all in a hurry.
Well, no, go back to it. I'm talking, right? But go back to any question that you want to ask because, I got an answer for you, man. My life is an open book. I'm very transparent. So.
Well, one of the things I want to talk about was you have something upcoming. You and I are talking about a trip that you're going to take back to New York for an interview or audition for The Voice.
Well, it's not actually in New York. It's in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
Durham, North Carolina. And I got an audition for The Voice. That's on February the 12th. That's for the people on his podcast, and that's for everybody on my YouTube channel, man. I told y'all the actual wrong date. I said February the 13th. I had it wrong. It's February the 12th, but I will be, talking more about it. I'm practicing and getting myself together for it. So y'all just say your prayers, man, and be tuned in. Make sure that we make this thing happen. I'm going to need y'all, the cashiers and your podcast followers. That's right.
That'll be cool.
For sure, man.
I think, you and I were talking about this before. I think that, vocally you shouldn't have any problems, but more than anything, it's going to be your story that's going to help you become something they want to promote. When they hear your story and they understand who you are, it's
we're going to receive
that,
y'all. We're going to receive that. I like the way you put that, man. I mean, a lot of times, I'm going to be honest with you, early on, I want to say when I first went viral, I went and I auditioned for The Voice when it was in Atlanta, and it was a whole bunch of people there, man. I'm talking about thousands of people. And they actually pulled me to the side. They say, anybody we pull to the side and talk to, we're going to get back with you and you possibly can go further. I was the only person out of my group that they pulled to the side. They got questions from me, maybe go to the computer and pull some other stuff out, but they never, ever got back with me, bro. And I went out there dressed as my No Cash guy. It was freshly after I was viral. New York Times articles out and all of that, and they didn't really bite the situation. But, there's a time for everything, a time and a place for everything. So this time...
The idea of the Voice is basically they got their backs turned and you're singing, and then they hear something and they go, whoa, what's this guy even look like?
That's
and then
right.
they hit the button, turn around, and that's when they make a decision. So I would think that if you just dress as yourself, just like you are now or whatever. And there's an opportunity for them to hear you, and they go, okay, sounds good. But then ask you any questions about your life.
And then they find out.
And the more you rehearse, basically like you've been doing,
Yeah.
telling your story over and over again, being an open book, it's going to be that story that they can sell on television, because they got to fill 30 minutes every night. And so if they have a story about a guy who struggled and made better, and here's my opportunity, here's my chance, that's the story that they can sell to gold.
I agree. And I'm just going to receive that with every fiber of my being, what you're saying right now, because I'm a firm believer in what you put out to the universe do come back to you, man. So I just hope that's what it is. I hope they can really use me in a major way, because using me on that capacity, man, can really help me out a lot.
And then you were talking about how, you wanted to show your message of how you could start with nothing and then build it up just by the God's given talent. And also, by the struggle. We all have things that we're faced up against and challenges, and you want to believe that you can make it no matter what your circumstances are. You want to believe that there's better out there.
Absolutely.
And if you see it firsthand, when you turn on television, you go, well, here's an example.
You're
or
right.
if you're looking at your phone on YouTube and you're like, oh, here's a guy that I can relate to. He's just like my uncle or my neighbor or my brother or whoever. I mean, it's that idea of I don't have to live with what I'm given. I can make better. All it takes is effort.
That's right, man. Life gives you lemons. You got to learn how to make lemonade. And a lot of people tend to want to deal with their shortcomings and failures and stuff like that and adversities by themselves. And sometimes the truth of the matter is you just can't do it by yourself. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I've learned to be more open and more transparent and more honest with my life, because people who want to get things right, that's how you live. But somebody who don't want to change, they're secretive and private, and they don't want you to know. Don't tell this, because you might be able to judge me next week when I show you that I'm really not true to what I'm saying. You see, but somebody who's really want to change and really striving for perfection and turning over a new leaf, if I tell you the things that I'm battling with, at least you know that if you see me falling short, you know where my weaknesses are. And so if I show them to you, you can help me. But if I'm acting like I got everything all together, and every time people all around, I'm hiding my adversities, everybody feel like you got it all together, so nobody knows how to help you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I talked about that. I had a podcast I did this past winter, maybe it was March or so. I did one about depression, and I talked about how I was going through a season of depression, and I said, one of the things I've realized hearing about friends who committed suicide was they never talked about their feelings. They never talked about what they're going through. And I talked about how, for whatever reason, I was going through this funk during this one period of time. And I just said, listen, I just want to put it out there that people go through this kind of stuff. And I want to be vulnerable and let you know that it's okay to be vulnerable. As men, you're always told you're supposed to be strong and fearless and, you can stand up to anything. Nothing ever bothers you. And I was like, okay, that's the first mistake. Because what we need to do is just be honest. During that time, I was going through whatever it was I was going through. And my wife listens to my podcast. She listened to it a couple days later, and she goes, I got to find out from a podcast that you're depressed. I was like, listen, I said, this is just part of I wanted to extend an olive branch to the listeners or whoever's out there to say, hey, listen, we all go through seasons of this, but I'm willing to talk about it.
I like how you said your wife came and said, I got to hear through the podcast. Lets me know that I'm not the only person going through that as far as perception and perspective. Yeah. When your wife or your loved ones hear you say things on social media that you haven't told them. Like, for instance, when I said that I've dealt with suicidal thoughts before. Not that I actually wanted to go through with killing myself, but I mentioned it in front of people one time that, I wrote a song about, it's called Suicidal Thoughts, and it came from a realistic place. And I really, in the song, I try to show people that, we'll judge somebody who killed themselves or even killers who kill people. But when you turn that same rule that you're judging with around and look back at yourself, how many times in your mind have you killed people? You might not have acted on it, but you didn't have the thoughts of wanting to kill somebody. I was in the Marine Corps.
Trust me, that was part of the training.
You see what I'm saying? So, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Once you think a thing, you've already basically have done it. So we can't really be judgmental of people like this. What we need to do is try to identify what's the problem. Yeah. And then so therefore we can find solutions. Well, the only way that you can identify what the problem is if somebody tells you, here's what's going wrong with me. If you got a problem with your car and you take it to a mechanic, the mechanic don't know nothing wrong with your car. You have to tell him it's doing this, it's doing that. It won't do this when I do that, or it do this. And then that gives him a ballpark figure of what he think is going wrong, and then he still got to do what he know till you call. Same thing with a doctor. You go to the doctor, you can be sick, he can help you, but you got to tell the doctor what's wrong with you. You can't be secretive, you can't be private, you can't be not wanting to be open with the doctor. This is the man who's going to help you. So you got to expose your problems. And that's what's hard for people who are going through adversities and shortcomings and failures and stuff. They're more embarrassed and shameful about failing than they are about finding solutions. And it's me, I want solutions. You know, I don't care. I mean, it's like a sword. You can peel the scab off of it, but once you peel the scab off, it's going to heal again, you know? And so with me, I feel like when you're talking about your situations and trials and tribulations openly amongst people who care about you, who got your best interests at heart, it's just like peeling that scab off, man. You're gonna find a lot of solutions. People are gonna pour a lot of love and attention into you, and even open up resources for you. And that be the thing that help you out of what you're going through. And so my message to people is, man, you know, I know people want to be private and secretive, and you know, you have a certain amount of personal things going on in your life. Everybody wants their privacy, but a lot of times when you're going through things in life, you can't be so private about them because nobody knows how to help you. You have to tell people what's the issues that you're going through if they're going to be helpmate to you.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, you're right. This whole podcast started about 2 years ago. I've been doing about 2 a week, but it started out of the feeling of I need to talk about what's going on because as a job, like my day job, is I'm a trainer. I teach guys how to drive a CDL truck and deliver groceries. Okay. And so on a regular basis, I'm in the truck with a guy, and we're talking about our lives. I ask them questions about, you know, you got kids, you got a family, where you grow up, you know, and they start telling me things because I listen, and you know, we have a back and forth, and in that time, we have little nuggets of truth that come out about what it's like to be a man, what it's like to be a father, what it's like to be a husband. That come out, and I go, God, that's really good. I wish I could share that with somebody. And I just kept finding myself saying, I wish I could share this with somebody. And the biggest thing that I came away with was community. Like if you could build a community within the group of people that are around you, everybody that you come in contact with is a potential person that is in your community. Absolutely. You can have an influence over them. So like, let's say I have a thought and I share it with you. Maybe I know 1,000 people, you know 1,000 people. Suddenly 2,000 people could have that thought just because we share the same thought. And
out of our 2,000, 1,000 from you, 1,000 from me fan base, there might be 100 people total that can help us manifest something.
Right. And because of that, it doesn't matter where you are, where you start, you can change the world just by a thought.
That's right.
So that's kind of the purpose of this. You know, when I started off, it was just me talking into a microphone for 30 minutes because I was like, well, I guess I'm going to do this. But then I realized along the way, it's a lot better if I talk to other people because then I can have a conversation and other people can find about them and they can talk about what they're going through. And if they have any kind of platform whatsoever, like you do, then that allows them to also have a platform with my audience. And whatever, I mean, if, you know, especially if you can do something with other creators.
Well, see, the thing that's interesting to me about what you're saying here is that you, regardless of whether you knew how to do it, what to expect, whether you had everything you needed or you felt like you needed, you still went on and you started it.
Right.
And you did it with just you.
Right. I had people ask me, how'd you get started? I was like, I didn't know what I was doing.
So whether you did it wrong, whether you did it with just you and you needed 2 or 3, you didn't wait till you get another or wait till the third, you said, I'm going to start now. Yeah. And because of starting it now, you've attracted some of what you need to have what you got going on right now.
And no matter what you want to do in life, it all starts with wanting to do something, then you got to put it to action. And like you said, it doesn't matter if you get it right, just try.
That's right.
You know,
listen,
you got to make an effort. You got to try.
I tell people all the time, when you tried to learn how to ride a bike, I don't know nobody who jumped right on the bike and rode it.
Right.
I don't know anybody that did that. So when you're thinking of that, you had to go through skinning your knees, skinning your feet, your hand, or whatever, falling off. You know, people went through a lot of adversity trying to learn how to ride a bike, but it didn't stop you from getting back on the bike and learning. Mm-hmm. And once you learn, right, now you got it. You don't never forget how to ride a bike. So I tell people, you know, the failures that you go through in life to learn things, they're what help you to get those things right.
Right.
All the time, you know. And
we're lucky enough to live in such a time where we have YouTube, where people are basically sharing everything they learn.
That's right.
Anything you want to learn, you can type it in, and there's somebody going, this is how I did this. And you go, huh, I could do that. I got some of that crap around.
That's a science to life. The things that you gather with knowledge about, the things that you're passionate about. If you are a mechanic and you're passionate about fixing cars, you're going to gather knowledge in certain things about fixing a car. Mm-hmm. And once you figure out how to fix the problems that people have with cars, that is a career for you.
Right.
Just for having that knowledge, and being able to say, hey, like a YouTube channel, I'm going to show y'all how to fix a carburetor. If you didn't take time to learn, how to fix this problem, be it makeup problem, be it a mechanic, be it computer work, editing, whatever your passion is, man, just learn something, get some information, some knowledge and some wisdom, and then share it with people. And
like
that's
right
the
now,
recipe.
Like I'm sure you probably have some people on live that are watching us going, how did you do all this studio crap? I didn't know what I was doing.
See, I want you to talk more up to us about this. Do y'all see his setup, man? If I had something like this right here going on where I can interview the local artists around here, and pretty much wherever I'm going, I lend a hand to everybody and try to open my platform up. Man, if I had a podcast or this type of thing right here going on, man, our community would be great. So I want him to let us know a little bit more about how did you get this going, man. It looks like you handcrafted a lot of this too.
I made all of it.
You made it all yourself?
Yeah. I didn't know how to do anything. I just made it. That chair you're sitting in is the first chair I ever made.
And so you didn't even know how to make chairs. Y'all hear that?
I had a piece of wood and I kept looking at it going, it kind of looks like the back of a chair. I think I could make this.
Do y'all hear that? I'm showing, he's living proof that if you just put your mind to something and be passionate about it.
Let's talk about the Anchor thing first, okay?
Because the what?
The podcast.
Okay.
So on the podcast, I wanted to start a podcast, and I listen to podcasts on the radio on my phone while I'm driving down the road because I'm trying to stay awake. And one of the podcasts I was listening to one morning, this guy does an intro with his wife where they talk about this is what the episode's going to be. And his wife says, I get asked all the time, how do I start a podcast? And she goes, I just found the easiest way. It's an app that you download on your phone. It's called Anchor. And I was like, what? Did I just hear that right? And I rewound it and hit play again, and she said Anchor, A-N-C-H-O-R. It's a little purple icon.
I think I heard of it too.
I clicked on it on my phone and downloaded it, and I just followed the steps on there. Basically, it helps if you have like a separate Gmail account. That way, anything that they want to send you goes directly to that, so it doesn't get into your spam filter of your normal thing. I made a separate Gmail account. Then I had to come up with a name for the podcast. I was like, I don't know what to call this thing. I literally sat up one night just writing down things I thought would be a title. I don't know how I came up with stuff I heard, but I told my wife, I was like, I just want to talk about the podcasts I listen to and stuff that I see on Netflix, and I want to have conversations with people. And I was like, it'd just be stuff I heard. And she goes, there's your title.
Stuff I heard.
So I came up with that, and then I just followed.
Well, it sounds like she came up with that. You got to give her 5%.
Well, she gets all of it. But it started off with just, there was a red button that said record. I hit record and just started talking. And I was like, this is it? Of course, I learned along the way that there's problems with that when you're using your phone. Because if you're recording on the thing and somebody calls you, it interrupts it.
Okay,
so I was
okay.
Oh, crap.
See, it's always stuff. You got to do a trial and error.
That was like step one. Step two was I realized that I could download something on my phone called voice memos. And all it is a recording file. It didn't have to be that one. It could be any of them. But I could just hit record, talk, blah, 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 blah. And then if anybody calls, it doesn't lose it. It saves it.
Oh,
and then once it's saved, then I can go
start back from where you.
I can go into that and just keep going. And then when I'm done, I can move those files over to Anchor and then publish it. And then it's published. The weird thing about Anchor is as long as you're putting out content, they'll start distributing it to everybody. I didn't have to do anything. All I did was record and hit send. And then from there, they took that information and they started putting it out to Spotify and iTunes and all these other ones that people listen to, Google Play and you name it.
I'm gonna put you on the spot right here, right fast in front of all of my people, man.
Yeah.
When you get your free time, right? Would you think it'd be a good idea for us to document you helping me get this podcast going, or you and me kind of like letting them see us work together?
Yeah, we could do that.
On some stuff, man.
Because I think you could do a podcast. You already have the lingo. You already know what you want to say.
Okay.
And you come into contact with a lot of people that would love to hear more about you. And maybe the YouTube thing could be part of it as well. But sometimes you're just late at night and you want to talk. And you got an idea. And you're like, this is a nugget of something I want to share.
And y'all know I am a big talker, right?
It doesn't have to be a certain amount of time. You can just hit the record button and be like, hey, I just wanted to talk about this and blah, blah, blah. Put it out there. And then if you get the audience, it just starts distributing itself. They do everything automatically.
You getting pretty good traction?
Yeah. From the app alone, I think it's like 50,000 listens so far.
Wow.
But it's just people are driving along and they want to be awake. They're sleepy. They're driving. They're tired.
Or they're interested in what
job.
you talk about a lot of times.
Or you have a subject they want to listen to.
That's right.
I mean, I've listened to plenty of podcasts where I fall out of love with them just because they're boring as hell to listen to.
That's right.
I mean, you got to kind of engage the people a little bit and be like, hey, I want to get you involved. And some people can't commit to watching videos.
Well, see, in my podcast, I would want to get more up close and personal with the people about things that they don't know so much about me. Like, things about me more so than what my cashiers do. They know me, because I'm transparent on there. But there's a lot of things that I don't put up on YouTube because of the simple fact that I don't want to taint the brand. I have a lot of kids watching me, a lot of older people. But on my podcast, I can kind of get more realistic and up close and personal with some of the adventure that my life had been through. I sold drugs, man, all my life. And no, I don't exploit it and I'm not proud of it, but there's things that I went through that I failed at and I did it wrong and learned different things that if I let people know that, man, it could help them, Yeah. So I just I'm interested in kind of like opening up in a podcast and letting people get up close and personal with some of the stuff that I've encountered in my life. Well, that'll be an interesting podcast.
Yeah. The hard part's gonna be come up with a name. I mean, you could name after yourself.
Well, yeah. See, that's what I probably would do. I would go more with my personal self instead of a character. Yeah. My name is Byon McCullough. I'll probably go with something like Byon Art or something like that.
There you go.
And go about my whole life, not just about homelessness, not just about selling drugs, not just about going to prison. I will talk about life and adversities, period. And how we need to deal with it to fix it and make life better.
I like it. It's inspiring.
Thank you, brother. You will help me do it.
We can do it. I mean,
that's right. You will help me do it.
There ain't much to it, really.
How about it?
I'm an idiot and I figured it out.
Well, hey, man, I don't think you more of a computer. I call myself a computer dummy because I am not computer savvy. I don't know. It just took me. Shouts out to my spiritual mother. I call her my spiritual mother. Her name is Miss Deborah. She's one of my cashiers. She reached out to me about 3 years ago. And they saw me saying I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have a computer. I didn't know how to edit anything. And that's why my channel was suffering. And my channel took a large hit over the past 3 years. But she said, she took it upon herself. She said, look, I'm going to send you a laptop and a computer so you can learn this stuff yourself. And she sent me a very nice computer, kept her end of the bargain, and sent me a laptop. And just then, 3 years ago, I learned how to turn the computer on and do little simple things on the laptop and computer. But until then, man, I didn't even know how to turn it on.
I didn't know how to do any of this crap until I just started watching a bunch of videos. I actually started off with a smaller mixer board that only had 2 microphones.
It's just like a mixer board?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the one with 2 microphones, that's the one that Danny has now. Because he was like, I want to get a mixer board just like this.
You got 4 microphones?
I got 4 right now, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And so, like I said, this just started off with me going, I don't know what I'm doing, but let's try it. And I've documented my stuff on YouTube every step of the way. I got a whole series on the Anchor podcast and getting it started and how to set it up and how to run it.
And see, that's evergreen. Nobody might not be watching it right now, but once you blow up and your podcast do what it does, that's evergreen. People gonna always be able to go back and refer to it.
I wanted to show, basically, it's like, if you learn, like you said, if you learn to do anything, my first reaction was, I want to share it with other people because certainly there's somebody else out there, maybe living in Nebraska or Alaska or who knows where, going, I've always wanted to do this. I don't even know how. They might come across the video and go, oh, that's how. That doesn't look that hard.
And then they're going to tell other people that want to know how to do it,
or
how they found out how to do it, and they're going to go watch it.
Exactly.
See, back in my days coming up, people used to always say the game is to be sold, not told. It was like the hustler talk. And I kind of got it. Back then, nobody wanted to tell their secrets. I don't care whether it was in the corporate world or the streets. You don't tell your secrets of how you getting your money or how you getting ahead, right? Because it was like they used what they know to consult with people to make money, right? So it wasn't like, so you don't just sit around and talk to people about what you know. You sell things to people. You sell, consult. And that was the days of the old. But now in this information age that we're in, it's the sciences, and there's still people that's with the mentality of be private, don't tell, keep things a secret. But the science nowadays is to tell what you know, not just tell, prove what you know. Yeah. And that's people that'll attract you an audience every time.
Well, it's like, have you ever heard of Dave Ramsey?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so years ago, I was working my tail off and was broke. I was working myself to death. Matter of fact, I tried to get, there were several times I was out working and almost got robbed maybe 4 or 5 times at gunpoint. give me your money. And I laughed. And they were like, what are you
I ain't
laughing
got
at?
none.
I said, I got 3 kids and a wife. I am broke. Otherwise, I wouldn't be out here at 5:30 in the morning delivering groceries, son. And just got to laughing and making jokes. And they got to laughing and they just walked away. And I was like, I got nothing. I got no dollar. Not even a dollar. I mean, my wife's sitting here with a Coke and a smile. And I drank that Coke and the smile's wearing off.
Listen, man.
You know,
I'm telling you.
But, you know, I forgot where I was going with that. But anyway, you know, what was I talking about?
You was talking about. You said you got robbed one time and you didn't have no money. You was talking about the struggles of not having anything.
Yeah, I don't remember what my point was. Anyway, I had a whole thing worked up and I got on the tangent of that.
It's a brain fart. We do that sometimes.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm 40. I'll be 46 soon, so that happens quickly.
Blame it on something. I know that's right. Yeah.
Geez. Yeah. But you know, it's all an effort. Like I said. If you don't know what to do, look around. People are willing to share with you. I listened to this guy one time talk about how he grew up with a bunch of burner friends that all he did was get high all the time. Mm-hmm. And he said, at a certain point in my life, I realized I wanted my life to be different. And I started meeting people who were successful. And I thought, if I'm friends with these people, maybe they'll share secrets with me. And it wasn't just secrets. I was talking about Dave Ramsey. I'll get back to that. It wasn't just secrets, though. He said, one of the things I learned is anybody who succeeds in life, all they want to do is share their information with other people.
That's right.
So there is a turn of events. And talking about Dave Ramsey, that was a turn of event. When I was broke like that, I had a friend of mine at work. I was sitting there one morning and he was like, you know, hey, what's going on? I was like, I am so broke. I'm angry. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, you know, we make a good living here. I shouldn't be this broke. And he's like, have you ever heard of Dave Ramsey? And I said, I've heard the name before because a buddy of mine years ago tried to get me to go to some conference and I told him no. I said, it sounds like a pyramid scheme. I ain't going to pyramid scheme things. Because in the South, you're always thinking somebody's out there scheming.
Yeah.
That was my first thought, is there's some ex-preacher who's trying to get $1 from you, and he's telling you, I got the way, you just give me your money. You know, and I'm like, nah. But this guy, I trusted this guy. And this guy was like, listen, he goes, they teach this thing at church. He said, it's called financial peace. He said, all it is he teaches you how to pay off your debt, making the money you make. He said, basically, he just tells you to line up your bills, and whatever is your smallest bill, you pay everybody the minimum except that smallest bill, and you budget every dollar you have to go towards paying off that bill. And then once that bill's paid off, you pay off the next biggest bill. And each month it builds
Okay, so
up.
the biggest bill you pay, the smallest bill
you pay off first.
Okay, gotcha.
And then as you're paying off bills,
You
one
pay
after
the minimum
another,
of them.
they call it the debt snowball. As you get to paying it off, it picks up steam, and you start looking forward to the next payday because you're going to pay off the next bill. And I was like,
yo,
well, that sounds
hey,
simple.
baby, I want you to listen to that again. Bring that back. I need to hear more about it. I'm gonna be no. I want you to say that again because listen to what I'm trying to tell you, man. I have this science, right? As a homeless man, and I still say homeless because people need to realize that if you don't have your own address and your own name or with your wife or as a companion, you are homeless. Period. There's no way around it. You could be staying in the shelter, you could be living with people, couch surfing, or you could be out on the street. There's different levels of homelessness, but you are homeless. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying to myself, no, I'm not homeless and out on the street and struggling like that. But as a homeless man, even coming from that, over the past 7 years of dealing with homelessness, I had the intelligence to know that I need to work on my credit, know that I need to try to build my credit and do things to help build it. And what I did was got secured credit cards, right? And this was about, I want to say 3 years ago. And people used to always tell me, God gave me some good instructions. He said, never use more than a third of your credit line. And pay it all back during the month. Whether you can or not, you want to try to pay it all back, but if you can't, that's fine. It ain't going to go against you. But he explained this stuff to me very well, right? And I, as a homeless guy, I'm keeping up with this. I could have easily took advantage of my credit, misused my credit and stuff. Mm-hmm. But hearing you say what you're saying now, I have this thing now that I got a job and I've been working now for 3 months. Shouts out to Habitat for Humanity Restore in Florence, South Carolina. The plug for y'all. But, I haven't been working there but for about 3 months now. And I have a pattern of getting my money and I didn't do it the way you said, like paying off the lease bill and then the bare minimum on the other ones. Mm-hmm. I pay off the most that I can pay to each one, right? And my wife asked me questions like, why do you do that? Her science would be more like what you were saying. She said, why don't you pay the bare minimum on it? Because you don't have to pay it back on. I'm like, look, I know that, but that's why my credit is the way that it is.
Yeah, so if you pay the bare minimum to everybody except for your smallest one, you basically you have to be honest with yourself about what you're going to spend on food, on clothes, on entertainment, whatever it is. and you got to write down their bills and say, this is the amount of dollars I'm bringing in. This is the amount of dollars that have to go out. This is the excess money. All of that money needs to go towards that smallest bill first. And when you pay that off,
left, you pay the bare minimum of that.
Yep.
You heard that, baby? We got a science. Now, thank you for that. I knew you was on to something.
All your minimum payments get met. Whatever excess money you have goes towards that smallest one.
And to pay that off,
then you use that same money, including what you paid that one, to go to your next smallest one. And before you know it, you're paying them off. When we started, I think we probably had $20,000 worth of credit card debt. We had a van payment. We had a motorcycle payment. We had 3 kids living here. We had another secondary debt that was brought into the marriage of another 20 grand. We had a second mortgage that was another 20 grand. And it was just eating us alive. And I finally just said, we got to do something different. And this guy, he said, listen, he goes, Dave Ramsey does this free. Like, you can pay to have his little course. He goes, but I can just tell you everything you need to know right here. He said, you can listen to his radio program. It's on the radio for free. You can look at it online. He's got a website, DaveRamsey.com. Every episode's on there.
I forgot to hit the doggone.
I
forgot to hit the.
Hang on, we're trying to get his phone. He was live, YouTube live,
and I forgot to make sure people couldn't interfere with me.
That's okay.
All right, now we're back. Now let me make sure people can't interfere with me this time.
We're getting it all set up if y'all are listening.
There we go. Boom, boom, boom.
All good?
Now we're back.
Okay. So basically, like, if you go on his website, DaveRamsey.com, he's got a free calculator tool in there for budgeting. He's got free, all of his content that he's ever put on the radio is on there for free. You can just listen to it and click on it. He's got a podcast, Dave Ramsey's podcast. And every one of them is just him talking about, this is what I did. And he talks about being a real estate guy and losing everything. He said, I lost everything. He said, and I'm leasing a Jaguar that I can't afford, and we're basically homeless. And he said, and I finally had to give the Jaguar up and just be honest with myself and go, I can't afford anything.
See, and most people I find that don't deal with life in a realistic way, did he doing what you said he was doing?
He said his wife had a brother, and they had like a 70s rusted out Cadillac, and he said, and he let me borrow he called it the Bondo buggy. He said, I borrowed that Bondo buggy and I drove it for about 6 months and I saved every dollar I had until I had $1,000 saved up. And I went and bought me $1,000 piece of crap, something to drive back and forth to work. I thanked him over and over and over again for letting me borrow that car. He said, I just continued to work my tail off on paying off my debt, and I saved up another $1,000 in another 6 months. I sold that car and I bought a $2,000 piece of crap, and it was a little bit better. He said, and I kept doing that over the years.
Until you upgrade.
Until I ended up I was able to afford to buy that Jaguar eventually one day. He said, the minute I drove it off the lot, I thought, this thing's nothing but ego. And that part of me's dead.
I didn't need it.
He said,
right.
I drove off the lot, turned right back around, drove back and said, I changed my mind. He said, I don't need that. He said, that part of my ego is gone.
He's a smart man. Like, before I went into prison, I had a, man, my desires were way big, man. I wanted to name brand this, name it Louis, Gucci, Prada, Balenciaga this, Burberry, if it was a big name, Hermes. I just, I felt like I needed those things. I wasn't me without those things. And I got them, But like you said, the guy, man, I went to prison and I learned how to survive with a uniform that don't cost no more than $4. Your boots don't cost no more than $2. And nothing in there is whether you can splurge or floss and you make do. You really are happy. When you get your little uniform creased out and you go down to visitation looking real good with your whole outfit not even costing $6, you feel real good. You don't need those name brands then. So when I figured that out, man, it made me learn to decrease my desires, because I learned that if you wanted to increase your happy times, just decrease your desires. A lot of people are out here having champagne taste with only beer money. Yeah. And that causes
living
depression.
way above their budget.
Yes.
And that's part of one of his shows. Like, he has a call-in section of his show where people call in and they say, hey, David, way over my head, what do I do? And he says, oh, how much do you make? And they're like, I make like $30,000 a year. And he goes, what do you drive? I drive a BMW, blah, blah, blah. He goes, whoa. He goes, you're outspending yourself on your car. You can't afford it. You need to get rid of it. Well, I'm upside down. Well, of course you are. But you still need to get rid of it because you can't afford it. And he'll tell them step by step. He's pretty harsh about it, but he's like, I got nothing in this, but I'm trying to help you.
That's right.
He said, I realized along the way I could have kept this to myself. He goes, but God blessed me enough to get out of this mess. on just these simple things that I learned myself by making errors. He goes, but I learned this part and it works. And he's been doing this thing for over 20 years. But he's got a free show. Everything's free. He sells books, but he's like, I mean, if I sell books, great. He goes, if I don't, okay, whatever. He goes,
but see, doing it the way he's doing it, he's going to generate money. That's right.
He's still doing it with real estate. Like eventually his real estate got to the point where he followed his own rules and he doesn't borrow any money to buy real estate. He pays cash for it. So he has like rental properties, he has like business properties, but he pays cash for it. And then he's like, I want my credit score to be 0. I don't want to owe anybody anything. He goes, and if somebody comes to me and they want to buy one of my places and I look at the credit score and it's a 0, I want to sell to them because they're going to pay me back because they don't owe anybody else. He goes, this whole thing about having a credit score, it was important back when our parents were dealing with that kind of crap. He goes, nowadays, he goes, I'd rather my credit score be a 0 and nobody even know who I am. If I walk in there with money in my hand to buy what I want, then I'm going to do it. And I was like, holy crap. Like, it got me really thinking about the fact of, you know, if I could pay off my house, that's my biggest debt. I was lucky enough to be able to afford this when I bought it, but I couldn't afford it. I was living above my means. When I moved in here,
tastes with beer money.
That's why I told you. I called my buddy and I said, I feel like a fraud. I feel like I don't belong here. I was like, this house is made of bricks. I don't know what that's like. And he was like, it'll be okay. You know, like he was kind of saying it, you know, tentatively, but he was like, it'll be okay. You got a good job. And I was like, yeah, but I'm in debt of
false hope. We try to give you a little false hope, instead of just telling you the truth.
And it's that, you know, a lot of people want to talk about, like you were talking about, quick money, fast interactions.
Absolutely, man.
But it was the keep my head down, you know, eat shit, cash checks, do whatever I had to do.
That's what you was talking about. Eat shit, cash checks. And
listen, like you were talking about, you're just better when you got help. My wife, she told me, she said, whatever you got to do, baby, we'll figure it out. Every step of the way. When I met her, I was a single parent with 2 kids, and I was dealing with a lot of crap with my ex-wife. And I constantly had challenges with my job and with trying to get them taken care of. And we were just dating, and she would say stuff on the phone like, don't worry, we'll figure it out. And I thought, you got nothing invested in this. What's this? Y'all help you figure it out.
That's a helpmate, brother. That's
right away, I realized she's going to be in my corner. And I thought, that's what I want more than anything. Not all the crap I used to think was important in life.
Sex, looks, and all of that stuff.
Important.
You're right, man. I'm gonna tell you, that's the reason
somebody
why.
in my corner, somebody who's going to be supportive. And I thought, well, if I'm willing to give that, certainly I should be asking for it too. And
if you're willing to give it,
yeah,
then certainly you should be asking for
absolutely.
It too.
See, that's the thing is, young people nowadays they don't know what they want, and they fool themselves with what they want, and then when it finally comes around, they go, aha.
And some of them are getting what they want. Let's just say you got some little girl in the projects in the hood. Mm-hmm. She's on my mama's on welfare. She can't even barely afford lunch for school, but she meets this guy, and because he's hustling and making money, she wants a Louis bag. You can't even buy yourself a Louis bag. Mm-hmm. But because you meet a guy who could potentially possibly get you a Louis bag, now you want a Louis bag. If this guy would spend that much money on a pocketbook for you, you shouldn't even be wanting him to put it on a pocketbook.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so a lot of times that's what we do. Our desires get us in any amount of trouble that we get in life. I don't care what you did to get in trouble.
It's the quick satisfaction over the value satisfaction.
Absolutely. And it's about getting it in bulk. Like the Bible tells you, wealth gained little by little saves, but all dishonest money will dwindle away. You can do a trick to get $1 million and it'll be here today and gone tomorrow. But you can find a guy who saves 10 cents every day, but double it up every other day. And that guy, if you check him out in 3 years, he'll have a whole lot of money. You see? And so I've learned that, man. You know, I wanted it fast, and I wanted the quick fix, you know, and I wanted more than what I needed. And when I decreased my desires, man, I was this homeless man that was doing more with my life than people who was working on jobs.
You know, something you said made me think about it. When I worked at Budweiser, at the time, they had no ownership or distribution rights, whatever, to Heineken or Corona. Mm-hmm. And they were selling really well. And at the time, Jay-Z was doing commercials selling Heineken. And like they were sitting around, all these guys that worked for Budweiser, the head guys we're just so confused. Why does this beer sell so well in all these markets that they think they really can't afford it? I don't know how they're selling so much. And I was like, what don't you get? Jay-Z's selling it.
Yeah.
You can't afford Jay-Z's life, but you can afford his beer.
That's right.
Now, granted, they're paying him, but there's a disconnect there where you look at him having that lifestyle and drinking that beer and you go,
I want what Jay-Z had.
Come payday, I'm living Jay-Z style and I'm going to drink me a Heineken. It may take all my paycheck to buy some Heineken, but I'm going to
buy it.
Right. So then you get, the different, rap stars starting their own Hennessy and Cristal.
Their own brands.
And so as soon as you get some money in your hand, hey, let's go blow it on that thing and live like kings. You're not living like kings. You're just paying them.
You're not living within your means.
Right.
That's what you're doing.
You're not making your life better. You're fooling yourself. It's not helping you.
And a lot of times people that live in a private life or they're making a lot of mistakes and life ain't right, they want to be secretive and private and hide behind their adversities. It's like your guy that you said, I can't even afford this, what kind of car it was? Jaguar. See, he drive around in the Jaguar, the image is everything, and people who are ignorant and not so smart, they see the Jaguar and their perception is real to them. Ooh, he got a Jaguar.
He must be making it.
Yeah, see, your perception, it is real to you, but it might be truthful. It might not be truthful and it might not be factual. So you look at him and you think he got it going on because he got a Jaguar. You don't know this man can't even afford it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's just like when you look at the homeless man and you say, oh, he should get a job or he can do more than what he's doing. That's your perception. It don't say nothing about that man. It say all about you.
Yeah.
You see, and that's what my channel is really about, trying to show people that it's all about perception in life, man, no matter what you're going through, rich or poor, white or black, big or small, right? Until the people who's doing the perceiving get a better perspective, we won't solve as many problems as we can solve.
Which is why I wanted you on this podcast. I wanted my audience to be able to have a conversation with you like I do and understand there's more to a person than what you see.
Absolutely. And see, a lot of my audience don't even get to get this up close and personal with me. I mean, I tell them a lot of things like what I go through in life, my failures, mishaps, all of that stuff. But, it's just like they don't know my knowledge. They don't know my wisdom. They don't know the adventure my life has been on, right? That led me to the homeless man that they know.
Mm-hmm.
That's more exciting. That's more of a story to tell.
Well, when you see movies, they always talk about life's not about the things I achieved. It's about my journey.
That's right.
We're on our journey.
That's right.
This is the book of Byon. This is the book of Josh. This is the book we're experiencing right now, where at the end of it, you look back and you go, wow, I blew it out of the water.
And I tell my parents and people all the time that are close to me and loved ones, they say, you saying you homeless, but you ain't homeless no more. Yes, I am, because I still live with my mom. They're worrying about where's the outcome? Where is your destination? I tell them I'm not even worried about a destination. My destination is not even to get in a home. Because once I get into a home, it's going to be the man formerly known as the homeless man. Because I'm never going to detach myself from where I came from. You see, but I let my family and loved ones know it's not so much about where I'm going or reaching a destination. It's about enjoying the journey.
Well, it doesn't matter if you're considered homeless or beyond from this point on. Your story is still going to be your story.
Absolutely.
And it's still going to be the thing that enriches other people's lives. You're talking about, having kids and whatnot. Your story then becomes, how can I represent to them the right thing to do?
Absolutely.
And, here's my mistakes, and I'm open and honest about it, and just don't repeat my mistakes.
That's what I really did it for, man, because I wanted to be in my kids' life, whether I had $1 to give them, a dime to give them or not. When I went live to the world, and, you got 60 million views, that means the world knows you. That ain't just one state or a couple of states. That ain't just the United States. That's the world. And so my kids would see me being a homeless man. Yes, it's fame, but it's not good fame.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that normal people would be proud of.
Right.
And so my kids would feel some kind of way, man. And, it hurt me to see how they had to feel about that. But truthfully, it showed them how daddy deal with adversity.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take the easy route. Y'all saw me struggling. And so now, there was a time I had a video up called Pen Pal, where it was a song that I wrote for my daughter. She sang. When I was in prison, I came out and I taught it to her. She sung it, put it up on my YouTube channel. It was the fastest moving video up. They went to school, and because I'm a homeless man, people was picking with them and stuff. And they put pressure on me to take that video down. Now, I'm only telling this story because my daughter has lived, made her mistake, and she learned now. But they begged me, cried to get the video taken down. And I'm telling them, look, no, just leave it. Don't worry about it. Later on, you'll understand, and this will help you later. Well, they didn't listen. I took the video down. Now, 4 or 5 years later, my daughter's being a YouTuber, and she wants daddy's help. And I'm like, if you had that video up, that would have been your traction right there to instantly set you off. But you made the mistake, you made the decision, now you got to live with it. So I gave her some pointers, and shouts out to my daughter, Gorgeous XO. Her channel is Gorgeous XO. Gorgeous is her real name, by the way. I told her to get rid of the old stuff she was doing, started a new, gave her some advice, and she listened to me, man, and now she got over triple the subscribers that she had in just a couple of months.
That's cool.
But, you know, I like to tell people a lot of times what you think about something and then your perception of a thing and the decision that you make will determine your failure or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, man, you wouldn't believe
that resilience and that ability to change and that ability to adapt. You know, I've heard it called grit. You know,
oh yeah,
we as average folks, we tend to look at athletes and we go, "Wow, that's an amazing athlete." I mean, like right now, we're getting ready to watch Derrick Henry as a running back with the Tennessee Titans. Last week, he just pushed people around, grown men. He just pushed around. You're like, whoa! And it's hard to mistake that talent and that ability, but we don't necessarily say it or talk about it as much. But we tend to do the same thing with people's grit and their resilience. And when we have that in a person that we know, we tend to value that person just as much as we value that athlete on the field.
Absolutely.
But that's something that is a gift that you can give to your children. And, you know, your only hope is that they get that same kind of resilience because, you know, life is tough. It's going to throw them a lot of different curveballs.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
man.
you know, no matter who's out there watching, you're dealing with a lot. We know. I mean, we're doing it too.
Main thing I didn't want them to do is see me try to take the easy route all the time. You know, to see me do what everybody else is doing. I want them to see Daddy took the tougher route. It wasn't easy. You know, he went through some things, but he did. He kept his dignity. You know, he was respectful. You know, and that's the thing. Now that when she called me to ask about stuff, she lets me know, like, man, I should have listened to you and blah, blah, blah. But that's what mistakes are for. You make the mistakes, you live, and you learn. And so, yeah, man, that's what we are. That's what I'm here to talk to you about, perception, man, and letting people know, man, you know, your perception says all about you and nothing about the thing that you're perceiving.
Right.
And your perception can be a real thing to you. But just because you perceive it doesn't make it factual or doesn't make it true.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know.
Cool. This is good.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on here.
I appreciate you for having me, brother. And
you got anything you want to know before I sign off of mine? I'm going to make sure to tag you on everything.
Yeah, please do. And let everybody know that my YouTube channel is No Cash, KNOWCA$H, or either NOCash843. If y'all looking for me on Facebook, I got a fan page, KNOWCA$H, or you can send me a friend request to my personal fan page or follow me. I got over 14,000 followers at Byon, BYON, ARTRELL, Artrell McCullough, MCCULLOUGH. My website is www.iknowcash.com. And y'all just stay tuned, man. Like we said, I'm going to The Voice on February the 12th. Y'all stay tuned for that. Be attentive. Come to the YouTube page, man. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on your notifications bells. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride, man. Thank you for having me, brother.
I appreciate it. Hey, and if any of my audience want to check him out, be sure to go on his YouTube page. You're going to see a lot of stuff of him singing, a lot of the old videos. Watch all of it. Keep current with the new stuff. He's going to be on The Voice. Tune in, check it out. Vote for him if you got that ability.
By the way, I wanted to plug this in too. Let y'all know we just put up 2 new videos. I did Louis Capaldi's Someone You Love. Great video, great cover. And I also put up one about 2 days ago of Old Dominion's one-man band country song, man. It's dope stuff. Check the video out if you like it. If you don't like it, hit the thumbs down. If you like it, hit the thumbs up. And leave a comment, man. Give me some critique.
And also, be sure to check out Spike Fee on YouTube.
Absolutely.
SPIKE, capital FE.
That's right.
He's making a lot of content. The thing with the puppet, I think, is going to be huge.
Oh, man, Murphy. Y'all look out for No Cash and Murphy, man.
Yeah.
We got some new kids content coming for y'all, man. There's a lot of great things coming. I tell y'all all the time, the best is yet to come.
That's right.
And I'm here this year right here, 2020, clear vision to show and prove, all right? So just be attentive and stay tuned, all right?
If any of his audience want to check me out, I'm on YouTube as Joshua Peak. You'll see a picture of me on there, or my Instagram and whatnot is Stuff I Heard Podcast.
All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close mine out, and we can just close yours out later.
Okay.
But once again, I am the homie No Cash, and I'm signing off with a big 10-fold salute the people for me. Over and out. Peace and love. Y'all stay well and be blessed.
Cool. I like it. Well, I always end mine the same way, and I'm just going to round this out. I don't know how this got started, but my wife and my mother thought it was funny when I used to say, cue the cow, and then I'd end off with a moo noise. So, anyway, cue the cow.